Hello, my name's Bev and I'm the author of the book Please Eat, A Mother's Struggle to Free Her Teenage Son from Anorexia, which describes our family's battle with the deadly eating disorder, anorexia nervosa, which my teenage son Ben developed back in 2009 when he was just 15 years old. This is the 10th day of an eating disorder Christmas, a number of blog posts that I wrote at the end of 2011 to show what it can be like to have an eating disorder in the family at Christmas. Even though it's supposed to be the 12 days of Christmas, I only actually wrote 10 blog posts because, to be honest, by the time I'd written number 10, I'd had enough of doing that and wanted to move on to blog posts about my son's recovery rather than looking backwards to when his eating disorder was at its worst. So this is the final one of the series, called On the 10th Day of Christmas, the Eating Disorder Gave to Me 10 Swans Not Swimming. Winter 2009-2010 was the winter of the big freeze in our part of the UK, the year the huge lake in our local park froze solid, which of course meant that its resident swans were unable to swim on it. But meanwhile, Ben and I continued our regular walks from our house through the park, round the lakes and back home, a route we've trudged many times during the eating disorder. Autumn would lead to winter, which would lead to spring and then summer, and for a whole year we'd do that walk, which was also a great opportunity for us to talk about things. For an entire year I felt as if I was flogging a dead horse. No matter what I said, it fell on deaf ears. Ben was unable to see logic or reason. He would argue that black was white until he was blue in the face. In the big freeze that followed Christmas 2009, Ben really was blue in the face. Having lost so much weight, he felt the cold more than most people, so he wrapped up warm against the freezing temperatures. And I was painfully aware that beneath the chunky sweater, jacket, hat, scarf and gloves was an increasingly emaciated body. His illness became even more noticeable as we stopped off at the park cafe for a warm drink. Black coffee for Ben, naturally. On display were its famous yummy cakes and bakes, chocolate fudge cake, carrot cake, millionaire's shortbread, coffee walnut gâteau. As usual, Ben was drawn to these like a magnet, not to eat them, of course, but to admire them, as you or I might admire works of art hanging in a gallery. He'd just hover there, mesmerised by the cakes, serving staff coming over to ask if he'd like to order a slice, and giving him odd looks when he shook his head, yet continued to stare. Then he'd come over to where I was sitting and insist I come out and admire the cakes as well. I refused. There we were, in the Christmas and New Year season, living in the Western world with festive food abundantly available, yet my son was starving himself. But fortunately for the swans just outside the cafe, someone had broken a large section of the ice so they could swim around a bit, fighting with the ducks and other wild fowl for the chunks of bread being tossed into the water by young families. At least the swans were enjoying their food. That's the end of that blog entry, and just touching on the next blog entry, I basically explained that, not wanting to labour the point too much, I decided to stop at day 10 and move on to something more current, which was Ben's final year at school and hopefully heading to university in September 2012. Thank you for listening. That's the end of that particular series, and what I think I'll do next is, rather than read excerpts from the blog, I may begin a vlog, which is basically the same thing here, but about current developments, to show that there is hope and that young people can recover from a serious eating disorder like my son's, and to talk about where we are now as we face Christmas 2022. Meanwhile, you'll find a link to my blog below, and also to my website where you can download PDFs of my blog. There's also a link to Amazon where you can buy my book.